welcome. Welcome to Stuff I Find Interesting. This is number 12. I'm going to try to speak up this time. I turned off the other microphone so that it's not all echoey and maybe it's more, I don't know what the word is. I'm sure someone out there is a sound engineer that could tell me. Now I'm wearing a hat because I'm having a bad hair day. And I like this hat, so, you know. Plus the heat is down low because, have you seen the cost of prices lately? It's crazy. So I have a great show for you. We're going to shut this off for now. The music, we'll come back to some music at the end. Let me shrink myself. Need to insert a sound effect for when I shrink myself, right? I think that's like maybe that's the next thing I'll do. So this first part is just going to be a wrap up of stuff we've already talked about. It's stray pictures, articles that I'm finding as I'm just going through and cleaning stuff up, and I kind of go, oh hey, yeah, I kind of want to come back to that. I kind of want to talk about that because it's an ongoing conversation. It's not like a one and done. Things have to come up, things go away, things come back up again. It's a lot of fun. So we were talking about mental asylums and how people were treated in mental asylums. Now, all of the articles that I'm showing will be in this particular section. So I'm going to be doing number 12 in sections because I think that it's easier to digest that way and people seem to like it better. So we'll give it a shot. But for the Victorian Mental Asylum, it talks about restraining people. But this is what I wanted to show you. So this is something that would have been used to restrain a patient so that they did not hurt themselves or other people. These are other restraints. Here is a picture of someone who's restrained to a pole. This is William Norris. Poor William. And this gentleman is tied to a chair. And he looks like he could also be tied across the chest, but he's not tied across the chest. So he must be having an okay day today. Replica of a leather belt with manacles. So you put your hands in there, kind of like handcuffs. Here's another horrible picture. This is a restraint collar. It would have gone around the neck to hold the person kind of. They would, it's like a cone on an animal. You're unable to do certain things. Here we have another restraint collar. And we're back to the beginning. So that's horrible, right? That's pretty awful. So here's the point I'm getting to. Around the 1800s, there was a change in mental health. And there were reformers like Harriet Martineau and Samuel Tuke who were like, hey, wait a minute, we need to treat the mentally ill better. And the government went, yeah, you know what? You're right. We do need to do that. And there was all this money that went towards reform, right? Now, where do you think that money went to? Do you think that money went to the patients? I'm thinking the money went to the architects. This is a personal story. I'm going to include it in there, and it talks about this person's great-grandmother or great-grandpa was in this particular insane asylum. But getting back to my point, where do you think that money went? Well, it went to the architects. It went to the people that built it. It went to the people that ran it. Getting a job at one of these places was considered a very cushy thing. Is that a freaking moth? You saw that, right? Okay. Look at these places. They're like palaces. They're absolute palaces. Just the amount of care, materials. And a lot of these places are now crumbling or have been knocked down. There were some architects, and that's pretty much like all they did was like design asylums and like government buildings. In particular, Olmsted is a local architect who did some stuff around here. He did a building at the Hudson River Psych. He did a building at Vassar College, but he did some armories, I believe. But he did like super commercial, like the big stuff though, not like little stuff. Anyway, you get the idea. So me personally, that's where I think the money went. That's what I think. Okay, moving on. I am actually not sure what this is. I will confess. But I came across it and I was like, what the All right, so we got this. We got this. But then if we go a little further, oh crap, there's a way to make this like a thumbnail or something. Where'd it go? I messed it up. Oh, here we go. Back to album. It's like about star forts and weapons, right? How cool is that? We were talking about medieval weapons last time, so I figured this is probably, I saved this at some point to add on to that, but then forgot about it, which is typical. But here you go. This is the this is just a really cool, like 306 pages of stuff to just bug out on. Even if you're not into it, the drawings are fantastic to look at. They're very, I don't know. I find them enchanting for some reason. So, yeah. Okay, so next I was poking around some stuff and I came across these caves and these holes and I was like, you know what? That looks like it's probably the Busege Mountains. And you know what? I was right. It is the Busege Mountains. These are the Tatarului Keys Amazing Rocks Formation. So it's a particular area, and it's called Bear Grove, I think, is what it means in English. And it's a particular area with a lot of caves and a lot of like kind of stuff, but stuff that was made by man or carved out by man. You know, the rock existed and someone carved it out. I think this might be natural, though. This is also in the same area. We're going to talk about this at a different time, but these are the mysterious dolmens of the North Caucasus, and this is kind of in the same area. Lots of really cool history, and there's an article that I have, and it's called Prometheus Unbound, and it's about the this area, and about this area being perhaps one of the original Garden of Edens. So make of that what you will, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Now, this is something that I read, and I was like, in the summer of 2003, in an unexplored area of the Busege Mountains, an epochal discovery was found that would completely change the destiny of mankind. Since the declassification of the new ground-penetrating radar 2 years ago, the most staggering data has emerged of a complex and labyrinth underground systems in various parts of the world. At places like Guatemala in the South Americas, tunnels have been mapped under the Mayan pyramid complex at Tikal, which extend a full 800 kilometers to the opposite side of the country. It was using this very technology that the most remarkable discovery was made. So then I got really excited, right? And I was like, well, okay. And, oh, you know what? This didn't come up before. This did not come up before. I don't know where I went last time. I went somewhere else. Maybe I tried to go to the video. But you know what? We're going to save this for another time because it looks really cool. But anyway, my point was is that there was all that buildup and then I couldn't find anything. But now I just found anything. So I completely ruined what I was even talking about. So remember when we were talking about maps of Africa? This might have been 3, 4, 5. I don't know at this point. And there was like this forest kind of in the middle. And there's discussion that there was that it was fertile. Now, the question in my mind is, was it fertile through man-made activities, such as the building of irrigation systems, or was it fertile because that whole area really was fertile, or maybe it was fertile further back? I don't know if all that made sense. But I got curious about it, so I started to look into it, and I discovered that there's this culture called the Garama, an ancient civilization in the Central Sahara. And this is in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. And it's 700 miles from the coast. Summer temperatures can reach 55 degrees Celsius. I'm assuming that's hot. And there, it's not very populated currently, obviously. But 2,000 years ago, it was an urban civilization with a written language, pyramid tombs, irrigation, agriculture, and armies of chariots and cavalry. The Garamantes. Until recently, we knew virtually nothing about them. Some ancient writers told strange stories. The Romans were not amused. They fought several wars against the Garamantes, sometimes crossing the desert to assault their heartland, and the enemy was demonized as a wild tribe much given to plundering nomads who wandered from one inaccessible encampment to another. Others described desert dwellers as barely human. So there was racism, even back then there was a lot of racism. Now the reality is that if they're building chariots and war machines and they're able to come together to defeat the Roman army, which is like it was like the Roman army, right? Then they had to have something going on for them. They had to be more civilized than they were given credit for, which is obviously a form of prejudice. And yeah, they were kind of predatory, and maybe there was a group, I believe, that were probably nomadic. Like they had their barbarian kind of class, and they probably went all over the place. I'm totally guessing. I don't know about that. But they traded luxury goods. And the reality is that they're a lost civilization that's just now being talked about and sort of discussed. Now, let me go to, this is I'm going to put this in the links. I'm not going to include this, but this Ancient World Maps guy, this is a fairly good YouTube video. It's short, and it talks about Garamantis in a fairly, straightforward way. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, I would highly recommend this particular person. And I don't know who they are. I just came across and I was like, oh, that's good, important new discoveries. Look at this. This is cool, right? This is from the Dogon County. Oh, actually, you know what? This is Dogon County. Is this? Yeah, Dogon County. Dogon. I'm thinking of the Romanian thing I was just talking about. The names are similar. So we've built up a picture of them as being a very sophisticated, high-level civilization. They've got metallurgy, very high-quality textiles, a writing system, these sorts of markers that would say this is an organized, state-level society. And it goes in. These are archaeologists talking about this based on things that they've found out. They had astronomical knowledge. I didn't really go into their sort of what they worshipped, but it's possible that they became part of Minoan the myths that the Minoans told. And it goes into that, like it really kind of goes into that. So that's why I'm including it, because sometimes people want to go a little bit deeper. Sometimes you just want to skim the surface, right? Like a rock. I mean, that's cool. I love to do that. So this is some more pictures of the area. You can see possibly what it might have looked like, but you're in luck because someone did a painting of what it looked like. And it's very beautiful. And I can show it to you. Okay, so we've got some stuff, some pictures about it. Blah, blah, blah. You can look. This is what it looked like in 2012 when they went over with the special technology, and they saw this and they went, oh, there's something there. So this was the thing, actually 2011. This was the thing that tipped off archaeologists. Okay, maybe there's something. Because it's like in the middle of nowhere. Like there's no reason why anybody would have come across this. This is when, I don't know, maybe they were just flying around just for flying around. I have no idea why anyone would fly over that. We're not going to talk about Libya today, but in looking at this particular picture, something tells me that Libya is interesting enough, certainly, to have a conversation about in various aspects of Libya. This is an interesting little thing we got going on here. So this is the painting that someone did, and this is by Ixaris, Second Lieutenant. Oh, gotta make sure I salute. Sir, Second Lieutenant, sir. Green jewel of the Garamantis. There it is, the green jewel. That's what it would have looked like based upon what we found. So interesting to think about. And it was a sophisticated North African society, built 3,000 miles of underground irrigation canals, which it takes quite a... Hold on, cat fight. What are you doing? I have squirt bottle. I have 3 cats, and there's one cat that likes to torment the other cat. And she's really just trying to play, but the other cat's not having it. She's like, no, I'm not having it, so go away. So the Garamantis flourished. They were horse breeders. They were charioteers. They knew how to tap into the water and make things last. They practice oasis agriculture. So, in my mind, going back to that map of Africa, this is an oasis. This is man made oasis. This is not natural. And the Sahara Desert being lush, I think predates that just a little bit. Because there are people saying, oh, well, it wasn't that long ago that the Sahara Desert was lush. And yeah, parts of it, like Garamantis. But the lush stuff, like when we're talking about like the Ricat structure in the ocean that broke or tsunami or whatever. I forgot already. See, I'm on to other stuff. But you know what I mean. Or you don't know what I mean. Here's where they were located. They were here on the edge of the Roman Empire. So as you can imagine, there was a lot of kind of going back and forth. The Romans crossed at one point. There were like skirmishes. It goes into some cool stuff. So that is the end of part 1. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to pick right back up with part 2, which is going to be headlines. Pictures and headlines. So if you're interested, you can join me for that. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.